Do you want to get American real quick? I'll give you honorary citizenship. Are you ready? Because I saw a debate happening on Twitter that it happens so often about different things that I feel the need to try to put a stop to it, because it is a conversation that comes out of ignorance, basically. And there is another motivating factor, and that is the sporting culture of the United States and the sporting culture of Europe in particular have a fundamental misunderstanding of each other, right? They don't get along. The United States makes fun of European sports. European people make fun of American sports, and I, while a very normal dude in most situations, I am somebody that just walks in between that. I sit directly on the fence. I'm like Dwight Schrute. I sleep on the fence. I put the post in my mouth. That's how you sleep on the fence, by the way. That's not even an innuendo. That's the line that Dwight Schrute has in The Office. The secret to sleeping on a post, or the secret to sleeping on a fence is you put the post in your mouth. It's a secret to a lot of things. But I love football and soccer, right? And I operate mostly in a European culture when it comes to talking about it. And then I also grew up in Florida, born and raised, right? Watching and playing American football, baseball, basketball, hockey, right? Like I was raised in the Friday night lights kind of like, oh yeah, we go watch the football team on Fridays and we go watch the Bucks on Sunday, and baseball being the sport of the summer, and I'm eating a hot dog and drinking a beer, and I'm like 9 years old, nice red-blooded American, you know what I'm saying? And so I have a learned respect for both sporting cultures, and I feel like it is my duty to be the peacekeeper. And there was a tweet that went viral, basically. So from an account called Baseball's Greatest Moments, which is not a particularly big account. I'd never seen it before. There's no offense to them. I love any account that's tweeting great sports moments. We need more of those in the world. But they average like 15 to 20 likes a tweet, right? They're not, this isn't some account that is trying to make money, like getting that fat $20 check from X, right? This is some account that is just doing it for the love of the game, right? For whatever reason, it got picked up by English Twitter. I believe English Twitter, British Twitter, or maybe South African Twitter for all I know. Somebody that's really into cricket, right? And Indian Twitter got involved in this as well. But the biggest one that I saw was, I genuinely think if the average American watched a single game of top-level cricket, their head would simply explode. Now, this got 23,000 likes so far. It was tweeted out less than a day ago, right? It has 2.6 million views, which we all know that's inflated. Elon Musk is compensating for something, but it's got to be somewhere in that neighborhood. And a lot of people agreeing with it. A lot of people watching this one particular highlight in saying that, everything from baseball and NFL are very strange, dull sports, to that throwing a test match earns you a bit of a look from the keeper to say, keep that ball up, son. To American sports are the lowest technical level sports in the world, played by room temp IQ players lucky to have genetic traits. That one didn't get a ton of likes, but you get the vibe. And a lot of people were kind of agreeing with this and just piling on. And so I wanted to dig my heels in and try to establish some sort of understanding and middle ground, because ignorance is the root of all of this, right? Ignorance is the root of all of these debates that ever happen, right? Because I hear both sides of them. And I'm talking about ignorance from the American side too, because I cannot tell you how many times when I say I talk about soccer, is a job, right? I have American relatives or friends that go, I don't know how you can watch that, man. It's so boring, right? Like nothing ever happens. They just pass the ball around and then the game ends. Like it's incredibly boring. And then I hear it from the other direction. I'm super into the Super Bowl or whatever, and somebody will reply to a tweet that I have about American football or the Bucks winning the Super Bowl, which go Tampa Bay. Thank you. Somebody replies, oh, I don't know how you can watch that sport. Like, it's so boring. They pause every 5 seconds. They barely run at all. There's like 8 hours of commercials. I can't believe that you would, it's just dull and boring, and that's ridiculous. A sport is boring if you don't know what's going on. I think that's pretty clear. But there are also, I used to work in sports broadcasting, and people would always ask me, what's your favorite sport to broadcast? That is like everybody's favorite question. What is your favorite sport to broadcast? And my answer was always a good one, right? Because a good game in a sport is always better than a bad game in any sport, right? Like a 5-0 blowout without, with all the goals being tap-ins and one team being better than the other. it always sucks, right? Like, unless you're you're a fan of the team that's winning 5-0. If that's the one match you watch, or if the one match you watch, you don't really understand what's going on and it's 0-0 for 90 minutes, obviously you're going to hate the sport. Now, if you're watching American football and it's 45-7 in the third quarter, you're going to have the exact same takeaway. You're like, this sucks. Nothing's happening. One team's getting boat raced, or it's 17-3 and the game's over and every pass is incomplete and these teams are bad and it's pouring rain and all I'm doing is watching Doritos commercials. You're going to hate it too, right? But if you watched, if you watch the Aguero moment, then maybe you can start to fall in love with soccer. And if you watched the 28-3 Super Bowl comeback by Tom Brady and the Patriots, maybe you start to fall in love with American football, because those were insane, insane moments. But this idea that professional athletes are bad, or that American fans or that European fans don't have any idea what they're doing and are just idiots and not appreciating what's going on, it's always wrong. It's literally always wrong, because if you were English and you grow up in the United States, you'd love all the same sports. And if you're an American that grew up in Bromley, right, or Nottingham, right, you would love all of those same sports and you'd be talking the same, you'd be talking the same trash. There's not, like, just eating barbecue and an extra dose of McDonald's does not make you unable to appreciate soccer. And eating beans on toast does not make you, or croissants or bratwurst, it does not make you unable to appreciate American football or baseball. Now we'll get to this actual highlight, because the highlight it's a pretty simple one. It's a guy named Aaron Judge, who's the outfielder for the New York Yankees. And he picks up the ball and he's throwing it to base here. So the way this works in baseball, because you probably don't understand it, so allow me to be your translator, is if you get the ball to the base with a guy standing on the base and he is able to tag the runner before the runner gets to the base, then that runner is out, which is a good thing for the defense. So what Aaron Judge is doing here is this ball's been hit to the corner. He's going to pick it up and he's going to throw it to second base. And it is a beautiful throw, because look exactly where it ends up. It ends up right between the base and the runner. And it's a wonderful throw. Now, this is not one of the best all-time plays in baseball, right? This is just a sick play. This is a highlight that you'd see on an evening highlight show and be like, oh, look at this throw by Aaron Judge. Now, there are a couple of things that seem to be distorting people's perception. As certain people point out in the comments, he says, I love cricket and I love watching baseball, so no animosity either way. I think the difference here is the distance. That's probably an 80-yard throw, so the accuracy is more noteworthy. Filmed very well to make a difference. Yeah, I think based off of my study here, because I don't really understand cricket, but I'm not going to disrespect it, because any sport that like 1 billion people watch, the people that are the best at that sport are insane. Athletes, physically, mentally, they are ridiculous. And baseball is the same way. Baseball is actually, I've had this conversation on stream before, a very disrespected sport when it comes to Europe, because Europe doesn't really play baseball. But Northern South America, Central America, the Caribbean, and East Asia all play baseball, right? And there are a lot of really large population countries. The World Baseball Classic, which is the World Cup for baseball, Japan won. They beat the United States in the final. I'm still salty about it. But the point is, I believe the stat, and it's going to sound like I'm making this up, but I swear to you it is true. Over 99% of TVs that were on in Japan during the World Baseball Classic final were tuned to the World Baseball Classic final. Like, the entire country of Japan shut down to watch the World Baseball Classic final, and it was a great game, too. But the U.S. lost. We invented the sport, so we're getting a pretty big England vibe there. But, there are a lot of people. It's not like Japan and Mexico and the U.S. and Canada and Venezuela and Cuba and the Dominican Republic, right? And Panama and Korea and Taiwan. These are not small population countries, right? These are countries with a lot of people in them that play baseball. And there's a lot of people that watch and care about the sport. That means the people that are the best at it, right? The people that play for the Yankees. They're unbelievably good. Right, they are stupidly talented. So back to this angle, talking about the distance. So the right field corner at Yankee Stadium, which I believe this is Yankee Stadium. I can't really tell. But it looks like it should be Yankee Stadium. That's about 314 feet away. Now, second base is 137, I think it's 127 feet out from home plate. So it's a diamond, right? And second base is at the top of the diamond and home plate's here. But this is not a straight throw. Like, obviously, home plate and second base are not pointing directly into the right field corner. They're pointing out into the center. So we're already talking about, 200 feet of distance before you add in the angle. So we're looking at, 250, 260 feet on this throw, which the reason that it doesn't quite look that far, right? And if you're talking about feet, maybe we need to convert it into yards, but somebody already did that and they did a very good job of it. That is like 80 yards, I believe. It's a little more than 80 yards, actually. It's like 85, 83, 85 yards. And it doesn't quite look like that because of the angle of the video. And also the fact that Aaron Judge, the guy that's making this throw, so this guy right here, he is 6'7", which is over 2 meters tall. And he is also a broad lad. He is about 260, 270 pounds. So this is basically Thibaut Courtois in the corner of the field making this throw. So it makes it seem a little smaller than it actually is. But that point notwithstanding, I got linked a bunch of highlights, not linked, but I saw a bunch of cricket highlights and kind of the replies to this tweet and everything else. And those are crazy impressive plays. But this is also really a really impressive play. I think we need to call an armistice. All right. We need to stop hating on sports we don't understand and just assume, right? Just assume that if somebody's like, yo, this is a sick play in this sport, if it's a sport that at least, I would say baseball, about 1 billion people live in a country where we've done this math before, but I think it's like 800 million people live in a country where baseball is the top 2 sport in that country. The same way that, cricket would be, where cricket is obviously a top 2 sport in countries with a bigger population, but that's a lot of people to choose from that play baseball at a super high level. And it's safe to assume the guys on the Yankees are pretty sick at playing baseball. I don't know why this drives me crazy so much. I just see these sorts of conversations and I just feel a compulsive need to discuss, like, why is this play impressive? It doesn't mean cricket's not impressive, but like, we can just work under an assumption that sports are really hard to play at a professional level when Aaron Judge is getting paid like $40 million a year to do this and hit the ball really far. I think it's safe to assume that he's just one of the best guys in the world at it. But sport elitism, that's it. That's what I'm going to call it. Sport elitism drives me crazy. I'm on a crusade to end sport elitism. If there is a world-class sport that, whether it's baseball or cricket or whatever, right? Let's just appreciate it. Learn as many sports as possible because then you get to watch more sports. And who doesn't want to watch more sports? It's awesome. Baseball is the sport of the summer, which means that, if you're a fan of a club in a winter league, which is almost all of you, right? If you're a fan of a club in a winter league, then baseball is the sport that's on when you don't have a team to watch. So why not learn it? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.